Gamer's Garage.
Rapture, listen. Rapture, stop.
What?
Congratulations on your new position as VV Gaming's Brawl Manager. Congratulations.
Thank you. I am very appreciative of getting the position because I know I'm that awesome to do it.
You know, you just ruined everything. The only thing that I can say is your first task was to smooth things out with Mewtwo King, make sure that we had an understanding and see if we could move forward. And it appears that both you and your Otter Charm worked, and I'm pleased to announce that Mewtwo King is back with VV Gaming. The little bump in the road has been erased, and we're all moving forward. I look forward to seeing him this weekend at an event here in a Chicago suburb called Oak Lawn. Thank you, Rapture.
No problem. That's what I do.
Yeah,
Rapture.
Let's start doing this show. Let's go.
Let's go.
Can't stop the train, baby. Woo!
Welcome to the 30th round of VV Gaming's The Losers Bracket, hosted by the Gamers Garage. We've got a huge show for you today. Supercon just happened. We've got VV Cheese on the show to talk about the results from the event. Also, huge Starcraft map contest that is ongoing from Blizzard. We'll give you the full details on that. Bunch of MLG news, like normal. Really funny video they released, this Old Spice report. We'll get into that as well. So, tons of information to give out. Let's start right away. Cheese, how are you doing today, sir? Welcome to the Losers Bracket.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me on the show.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Thanks for coming on to the show. Talk to us about Supercon. How was the event? What happened? Give us some details. Give us a breakdown.
All right, well, Supercon was one of the weirdest tournaments I've ever been to. It was supposed to be a big, huge national. It was hyped up for months, maybe almost a year, actually. And then I get there, and 47 people showed up. I flew to Denver for a tournament with 47 people, which was unfortunate, but I'll tell you what, the tournament was run really spectacularly. It was at a convention, like anime video game convention. All the stuff that was going on outside of the tournaments was really cool. I mean, everything was really well run, well organized. I would know I helped run the Brawl tournament. Attendance was low, probably because of all the major Smash tournaments going on around. But other than that, everything really went perfect. The results were really interesting. Mewtwo King won. That's not that interesting, I guess. But everything else was pretty surprising, actually. Mike Hayes losing to Tearbear. Tearbear and I taking out VVV Synchronicity. Doubles, the results were really small. There was only 16 people. I am glad to say that they did pay out the guaranteed pots, though. I mean, I got my check. Got $31 for third place each, which would have been like $15 otherwise. So other than the actual low attendance, it was greatly run. I really appreciated like the effort that NVGA Colorado and Colorado Cutthroat put into it. They had some cool rock band stuff going on, some cool DJ Hero. They gave away a copy of DJ Hero. They had some game developers there to show off some of their casual games that were coming out in the next few months. Great tournament, low attendance, unfortunately.
Do you think the Denver location had a lot to do with why it had low attendance?
Probably. Everyone has to pay to get to Denver, unlike tournaments that are on either the West or East Coast. There's not a big local scene in Colorado and like Utah, that area, so everyone either has to take a long drive or fly in. So probably, I mean, my plane ticket was $330 and I booked it 3 months ago, so I can't imagine what anyone else who flew in paid. I don't even want to know. Only one other person came from the East Coast, so the location probably really hurt, but the location itself, the venue, was fantastic. I mean, it was multiple floors, had 6 different live stream hookups, 8 rooms in a school. It was really, really, really nice.
Now, you actually teamed with Tearbear in doubles, like you said. How was it teaming with someone you haven't really played with before?
It worked out a lot better than I thought. I mean, he was just walking around saying, I don't have a partner. Does anyone want a team? And I was like, well, I'll team with you. I'm here. I don't have a partner. And he's just like, okay, let's do it. And we ended up pulling off a huge upset on Synchronicity, which is VVV Mike Hayes and VVV Havoc. It was surprising. I mean, we got third place at a tournament it was stacked. I'm surprised. I mean, he was helping me out a lot because I'm not really a doubles player much. So
you didn't get carried, did you? You wouldn't, right?
For those of you who didn't know, I carried Cheese at a Long Island tournament, so he's not very much of a doubles player, actually.
Okay, Rapture, you wish.
Yes.
Knowing now that Apex has just happened, Supercon has just happened, you've been to MLG events, where does Supercon rank on the sort of importance scale? I guess the low turnout really drops how important it is, considering that maybe some of the top players didn't show up. Where would you put it as far as importance?
It's probably going to end up going down as important as a regional, I would say. It's not going to have any impact like an MLG would or an Apex would because of the low attendance. But, I mean, all tournaments are important because a win in any tournament is almost as important as a win in any other tournament, especially when you consider rankings and stuff like that. The pop bonus, I mean, everyone got paid a good amount of money for winning. I know Mewtwo King walked out of there with about $1,300 for a small tournament. I mean, I'm sure he's satisfied with that.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're not satisfied with spending $330 and getting a $30 return.
No, I'm not, but I also should have did better in singles, so that's my own fault.
What would you say are some of your own personal challenges? And I ask this because as Brawl gets more and more attention, and I hear players who I normally would never think would pick up Brawl start to play it. You've been playing it for a while. What are some of the things for yourself that you have to work on to get yourself higher as far as placings and rankings? What are some of the things you personally need to improve on?
I make the same mistake every tournament. Every single tournament, I drop chain grabs. I mean, I'm an Ice Climbers main, so for those of you who don't understand what that means, if my character gets a grab and both parts of my character are in place, I can take off an entire stock, which in a defensive game like Brawl is comparably easy to do compared to a faster game, but it's also very difficult technically to do. It's probably the hardest technical skill in Brawl. So if you can complete 3 perfect grabs, it's almost impossible to lose. But I seem to drop them when they matter. Like against Mike Hayes, and I had to play Mike Hayes in the game for, I believe, guaranteed 4th or 5th. And I had the set 1, I had him grabbed game 3 last stock, and I dropped it, and he ended up winning. So that's that. That's the same mistake I make all the time. I get more and more consistent, but that's what happens. And I guess that's sort of comes with the character. I'm not the only one who drops grabs. Every Ice Climber main does it. And as you get more and more consistent, you do better and better.
Aside from Smash Brothers at Supercon, what were some of the other turnouts like for the other games? Because there was quite a few games for tournaments there.
The Tatsunoko vs. Capcom tournament got canceled because 2 people showed up. Street Fighter, I would say, had less than 15 entrants. The tournament turnouts were really low. The other games didn't have pop bonuses, so I don't think they were expecting to have a lot of players show up. They were smaller tournaments. The Smash was the featured game. But I think they expected a lot more Melee players. I expected a lot more Melee players, especially with the huge pop bonus. Players like Mango from the West Coast didn't come. That hurts attendance a lot. I believe Mike Hayes got 3rd in Melee, or 4th? 3rd, I'm pretty sure. And he ended up, he doesn't even play Melee anymore. He hasn't played Melee in years. That's how low the turnout was. I mean, he also placed in doubles, and neither of them play. He and his partner haven't played Melee in a long time. They've dropped it for Brawl. They only entered because the competition was so low.
Now with Supercon over, what next big tournament are you looking forward to and preparing for?
Well, Raleigh's less than 2 weeks away now, so that's the next big tournament. And then it's just going to be MLG DC and MLG Dallas for Smash. And then the grassroots tournaments take over again at the start of the next year.
One thing I'd like to know, Cheese, is the Brawl community is also often very protective of its events and very positive. To be fair, it looks like Supercon probably will not be able to bill itself as a national event again. Would you agree with that?
Actually, I wouldn't, because it was so well run and the timing was just off. I believe that next year they're planning on moving it to somewhere in Texas. I want to say that they said Houston, but they may have said Dallas. I'm not sure. I just heard this in passing, but that's a much better location that will get a much larger turnout if they do it there, because there is a huge Smash community there. Texas is one of the big 5 regions for Smash. I wouldn't count Supercon out because they really are great organizers, and I think they just failed on the advertising part of it.
When you say failed on the advertising, what do you mean versus maybe the location problem?
Well, they're billing it as a huge convention for video games and anime and such, and when we got there and we started to talk to the runner, Dancing Fighter G, he was in charge of the Colorado chapter of NBGA. They said that they had advertised all over the city and posted up everywhere, and then as it went on, it seemed like that just wasn't true. Because if you put a big anime convention, I mean, traditionally anime convention tournaments bring in, huge amounts of entrants for Smash because it's a popular game with people who watch anime for some reason. Not really sure why. But it seems to pull in, maybe an extra 50 to 60, even 70 to 100 entrants for these kind of tournaments. So had they built that better, I think that we would have had a lot more entrants, would have had the local Colorado, Utah, that region of the country. People who were just interested in anime would have came and also entered the tournament. It just didn't happen. I'm not really sure why they failed so hard on advertising. we were all disappointed when we got there, but if they improved that, they're really set up well. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. They have a great system. I mean, everything was organized well. Nothing was behind schedule. Everything was done quickly. They had everything they said they were going to. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be better next time.
This is pretty awesome. If you haven't heard about it, Blizzard has put together the first ever StarCraft II custom map contest. They are challenging you, the StarCraft II community, to create the most fun, creative, innovative StarCraft II custom map that you can think of. Pretty huge prizes for the winners. If your map is chosen as one of the winners in this contest, there'll be 3 winners in total. If your map is chosen as one of the winners in this contest, you'll win a free trip to BlizzCon 2010 with airfare and accommodations included. And your map will be available for free play at BlizzCon in the StarCraft II demo area. Pretty cool. On top of this, they're also going to be throwing in a $5,000 check to these 3 winners. So if you've ever thought about possibly using StarCraft II as a platform to create your own maps, create your own game ideas, now is the perfect time. Get on, check out the map editor, submit your ideas into this contest, and who knows, you might get a free trip and $5,000 out of it.
Yeah, I think this is simply awesome. Make the next Dota, make a mini RPG, heck, create a third-person shooter. To be honest, I think this is the closest thing a non-programmer is going to get to an actual game engine to play with. So I want to make sure that this point doesn't get lost on the show. If you own StarCraft, please look at the map editor. I'm going to make this really clear. If you've even touched Halo's Forge, if you've ever thought about a map design, if you've even thought about a game design, something Cliffy B said on one of his tweets on Twitter, he said, ideas are useless. It's the execution that counts. And that's really true. If you are thinking about working in the gaming industry, whether it's as a level designer, a QA tester, one really awesome way to understand what goes into it is to actually, just like you would pick up Photoshop or something like that and learn to use it, this is a chance to work with an actual development tool, something that is very similar to an engine, and create some kind of game. And like Blizzard said, next Dota, mini RPG, third-person shooter, whatever you want to do, give it a shot. So I'm just going to make a strong call to all of you out there. Please take a look at the map editor in StarCraft II.
Jerry is definitely right with this, especially if you do want to get into the world of game design. He brought up Dota a few times, and look back at the creators of Dota. There's definitely room to hop over from the map creating community in StarCraft to working on a game in the future. This could be your big break. Take full advantage of this contest and the opportunities that it presents. If you have any desire whatsoever, I would put your heart and soul into this. This is a great opportunity.
And speaking of StarCraft, since we're on the subject, I want to let everybody know that there will be a StarCraft II HD stream by MLG. I think for a lot of people who will not be going to Rally and will be looking for something outside of probably Tekken to watch, I highly recommend you look at the StarCraft II stream. As always, the regular standard definition will be free, but also if you want to watch it in HD, Major League Gaming will be charging $10. For those of you that are playing StarCraft, I'm not necessarily saying you need the HD, but you definitely want to be watching the stream, looking how players are using maps, and really taking advantage of seeing some of the top North American players play at the highest level. I think that's a great opportunity. Well, as much as I pick on Major League Gaming, I mean, I am going to Raleigh. Doomhammer and I will be there, and I want to see what they do for their 50th event. Now, to be honest, they've said to us that Rally is going to be the biggest MLG event ever, and I don't know if I buy it. What I do know is that they have tried very hard to get people to Rally. I know that, for example, Doomhammer and someone else is basically giving us spectator passes for free. I know a lot of people who've attended an MLG event, they're giving away passes for free. So there's a lot of free passes out there. I think MLG is trying its hardest to make its 50th anniversary mean something. And as much as I like to pick on them, I have no vindictive part of me that wants to see them fail. Although, God, wouldn't it be amazing? Just picture it. The 50th anniversary of MLG, I walk in, and there before me, I don't know if I can say this, I'm going to say it, that there would be chairs, some place to sit down. Is that a dream I dare to have? Gentlemen, what do you think?
I have a dream of strippers. Also, Fun fact, but at MLG Rally, there's going to be Halo 1 and 2 to play, as well as Super Smash Bros. Melee. And if you play in the open bracket of some of those games, as well as Halo 3, which is, by the way, the last time it'll be on the pro circuit, they will be on the main stage in some instances. So finally, after 50 events, they're doing stuff they should have done 50 events ago. And shares would be nice too.
Doubtful on the chairs, honestly. But along with that, they also mentioned that there was going to be 272 registered teams at Raleigh playing Halo 3. I find that kind of hard to believe. I mean, obviously with Starcraft 2, first event, that's going to sell out. Smash is guaranteed. World of Warcraft, probably guaranteed. Tekken, no. That's just been a failure ever since it got on the circuit. With Halo, though, there was a little stipulation, was that anyone who got a Raleigh Team Pass was guaranteed a reserve pass to Halo Reach in the next event. Now, the reason why they might be saying 272 teams, well, let's think about it. If you bought a Raleigh Team Pass and you just decided to say, you know what, I'm just going to hold on to this pass and save it for the next event, and therefore, if you think about it, you would have 2 Team Passes already lined up for Halo Reach. So which means your first 2 Halo Reach events would already be covered for the Team Pass. So although they say they have 272 teams showing up, I honestly feel like there might be only like 150 showing up because I think a lot of these people have already taken in the fact that they'll have 2 reserve passes.
I think you're really right. I think that it's absolutely true that a lot of people who purchase passes will not show up at Rally. And, again, this is what MLG does, is that they always have to spin things. And if they would just focus on doing quality, they wouldn't have to do this. And I always feel like Major League Gaming always tries to spin it as if like somebody taught them that they had to spin and they couldn't just be honest, which is really sort of sad. It's not necessary. I get that they're trying, but don't make it sound like it's going to be the biggest event because people are going to be there with cameras. You're going to have eyewitnesses. And if you tell everybody this is going to be the biggest event ever, there's going to be a ton of people who are going to call that out.
Oh, well, here's a little interesting fact about this is that, I just spoke to one of my locals today who's going to Raleigh, and he had told me that he just received a phone call today from somebody at the MLG headquarters asking to make sure that their team was still planning on showing up to Raleigh. So with them saying that they had so many team passes sold, I think what they're trying to do is still try to get an estimate to see how many people are showing up. So it looks like to me they're trying to call everybody to make sure.
The person who got a phone call, was that a pro player or semi-pro player, or was that just
Nope,
a random
just
person?
random amateur.
And the MLG called to ask them if they were showing up?
Yes. Amateur players have been receiving phone calls asking if they were still planning on showing up with their team.
Wow, okay.
And you know what else? Because I'm a very good StarCraft player, by the way. I'm so good, I don't even own it, and I'm ranked. And I didn't register because I figured that they would know to invite me. So that's a letdown. But also, there's still no Smash stream. I understand that Nintendo's being really ignorant about it or dickish in many ways. Whatever the case is, because I haven't even heard anything about it, but there's still no stream, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to at least see a stream. I don't even care if it's in HD. I don't care. I just want a stream. But no, let's have a stream for everything else except Smash, and then no chairs, and then no strippers. That's very disappointing for me.
I actually spoke to someone from MLG because I have those kind of connections. So apparently Nintendo is still refusing to answer, but they are kind of getting fed up with this. So they're going to go ahead and try to wait for the end of the season. If they don't reply, they have some plans for next season. That's what I've been told.
Well, that's good to know, actually. Because I haven't heard a lot about it, and it's odd because back when Melee was on the stream, it was allowed, but then again, MLG wasn't like it was today. I guess bigger, I don't know. But that's actually good. As long as Smash is on the circuit next year, it should be. Then if they can get a stream going, that'd be pretty cool. Better than nothing.
To be honest, I don't really put much stock in anybody saying, oh, we have something planned. Either tell us what you're going to do or don't. This kind of sort of secret, don't worry, we're going to wait till the end of the season. I don't know. I just don't give MLG a lot of credibility in this space. It's just not something they're very good with. I mean, they had a lot of Gears of War players believing that Gears of War would still be on the pro circuit, and they dropped it. And then, on the opposite side, a lot of people said that it definitely would be dropped. There are people from MLG who said, no decision's been made, even though it had been made. In a lot of ways, saying that we didn't get a response from Nintendo, no response is no. That's just the way the business world works. If you send somebody a message saying, hey, will you sponsor me, and they don't get back to you, there's nothing to wait for. The answer is clearly no from Nintendo. And if anybody from Major League Gaming makes it sound like, oh, we're going to wait until the end of the year, and if that doesn't work, we've got something planned for next year, I don't know, I'm just not buying it. And, speaking about having something planned, did anybody here catch the second edition of the Old Spice halftime report? The one where DJ Wheat was a guest?
This was horrible.
Oh, my God. I don't even know where to begin. The laugh track. That's where I'll begin. How could you put a laugh track on a show in 2010? 1975? Maybe. Like, what is wrong with Major League Gaming? Like, how is it that they can steal from us, from all these people, and do things well? Right? There's all this free information, and then they mess it up. It's kind of sad, actually.
The corny jokes they had would have garnered complete silence in the first place, so that's obviously why they used the laugh track. But wow, it seemed so out of place, and every line on the episode seemed incredibly forced. It seemed just very odd. Like, take, for example, the segment where they were talking about the Astros. The guy that they had talking about their Astros, it just, well, guys, these headphones, did you know that they were the 7th ranked? No, it was robotic. The entire presentation just seemed forced and emotionless. I couldn't get into it. I feel bad for DJ Wheat for being on the episode.
Well, I mean, DJ Wheat, to give him props, I think it's great that he came on the show because it introduces his live on 3 to console gamers, which I think is a positive thing. He's obviously been very involved in Starcraft 2, which is fantastic. But I'm telling you, the shining moment had to be when Puckett asked DJ Wheat, what's your background? And DJ Wheat sort of says, I've been playing Quake since 99 and, I couldn't play Quake anymore. And then I really wanted to be a part of gaming. And I've been doing podcast shows for the last decade, live podcast shows at that. He doesn't edit his shows. And Puckett then is like, oh, well, I'm a Halo pro sports commentator. You and I are kind of on the same career path. And I thought a little bell should have rung at that moment. And a small penguin should have came out and just had a sign that said, no. So Puckett, no. No, you're nothing like DJ Wheat. And a matter of fact, you are absolutely terrible at what you do. I don't know why Sundance keeps giving you this job. If you ask anybody in the community their actual thought about you, it usually ranges somewhere from arrogant dickhead to annoying fuckface. So by no means should you compare yourself to DJ Wheat. Many people get accused of being ignorant, but that level of ignorance humors me. Not a chance. That's number one. Number two, this is the point about how fucking stupid you are. Somebody named James Leet X7254837 or whatever sends you a sincere question, and you read it on the air. And the question is basically, hey, I'm new to StarCraft. Can you ask DJ Wheat to give us a rundown on what are the best races? And you asked DJ Wheat, and I don't know if this was intentional, but he kind of shit all over your question and your ignorance. Jason, did you catch this?
I did. I loved the way that DJ Wheat responded to this. Basically said, oh, well, I'm sick of getting my ass handed to me by Terran, so, they suck. Don't play them. Protoss, I'm kind of 50-50 on them. They're alright. You really need to play with the Swarm. Go Zerg, yeah! And the thing that I think is really funny about this is if you go check on communities right now, a lot of forums, things like that, feel that Terran is completely overpowered, and the least played race at the moment is the Zerg because they take the most micromanagement to be able to use effectively. So DJ Wheat, I don't know if he did this purposely or not, but answering the way he did, it was almost like he trolled Puckett, and it was phenomenal. I loved the answer.
I don't know if I loved it per se because I kind of felt sorry for the kid who asked the question. And DJ Wheat is more than capable of giving a very intelligent response to that answer. And instead he sort of pointed himself and said, I'm going to give a DJ Wheat answer. And I thought, and I watched, Puckett sort of like, and there you have it. He sort of did this half giggle. And I thought, I wonder if that was scripted. Because the show's kind of scripted. And whenever you use laugh tracks and, you try to be funny, generally it kind of falls flat. And I think it did in many places. But what really interested me more than anything was DJ Wheat's answer. I'd love to ask him, did you do that on purpose? Did you really do that? Because a lot of people who don't know a lot about StarCraft, who've never seen it, will obviously be watching it, hopefully for the first time at MLG Raleigh. And provided, again, that they have seats, I'm going to pause here for a second. I want to just throw something out there, if nobody here minds. I'm going to explain to you why I harp on seats, because somebody asked me the other day, Jerry, you never sit down at an MLG event, even if you have the chance. And to be fair, that's true. But let me tell you why seats are important. When teams get done with Halo, and they're mad at each other, and they're not really talking, and they just got shitted on, and they kind of all go their separate ways at the event while they talk trash about each other and why they fucked up, where there are seats, they will gather. Where they gather, they will watch. This is how you cross-pollinate gamers. The gamers who were sitting and playing in Halo 3 can now go steam quietly while watching another game. This introduces them to something else. And to be honest, it probably also helps them take their mind off their loss. So to the person who asked me the other day, why are seats so important? That's the critical reason why. Because when players get done with games, if they can go over to another game that isn't the one that they just got raped in and take a look at and get interested in something else, it can, one, take their mind off the negative shit that just happened, and two, more importantly, it gives them exposure to other games. Get fucking seats. I'm off my soapbox.
Hey, isn't Zurg from, like, Toy Story the guy who fights Buzz Lightyear? Like, you know, you ever see Toy Story 2? He's like one of, like, the villain guys. The little toy. Zurg.
Next thing you're going to be telling me that Buzz Lightyear is a Protoss in disguise, right?
Buzz Lightyear's the man. Have you ever, like, come on.
You're
Buzz
a
Lightyear's
lispy, mumbling otter. You know that?
No, but more seriously, though, Zurg is the guy from Toy Story, right?
And Taro, Infinity and Beyond. Tacitar.
Going back to the Old Spice thing, something that really sparked my interest, and, like, it kind of pisses me off when they do this, because they do this at events, too, is every time, like, Puckett or Shibby go to say a team name or a person's name, they say it with a disgust on their face, honestly. Like they're better than them or something. If you're going to say somebody's name, at least say it, like, respectfully, not like you're better than them.
I just thought it was really inconsistent. Like, I remember one point when they were making a transition to this, like, Dutch app thing. It wasn't even, like, a segue. He just, like, giggled and said something, and then it changed over, and then they went to, like, the top 10 plays or whatever, and he's so enthusiastic that he's going to jump through a window. That's how excited he is. He's like, oh, my God, he just got a double kill, triple kill. Oh, my God, I'm going to have an orgasm. But then this weird guy shows up and he talks about something else, and then more giggling, and it was weird. Like, they were talking about how hungry they were. I don't know. I don't know what I was watching. It was really inconsistent. I don't even know if it was scripted half the time, because it didn't seem like they knew what they were doing.
That's because they don't know what they're doing. And once again, I encourage anyone from Major League Gaming who listens, this is free advice. You need to train people to speak and get them to understand that a laugh track being forced, it just doesn't work. If you feel sort of artificial in paper, what I mean by that is you're easy to see through, it just doesn't work. So get this fixed. A better idea is just get somebody experienced. Ask for audition tapes. Now, at one level, you might not be able to afford anybody decent. I don't know how much money they've got left, or Puckett's already on the salary and probably does all this work extra anyway because, I mean, what else is he going to do? But at least fix these obvious mistakes in the show. All right, everybody, as always, I want to talk to you about things we're not going to have time to discuss in the show, so I want you to go out there and Google it. Number one, I want you to take a look at EA Sports. It has a mixed martial arts game, and for me, and I'm not a big MMA fan, it looks good. If you are a fan of mixed martial arts, look at what EA Sports has in store for you. Google it. Next, Medal of Honor. There hasn't been a lot of hype about Medal of Honor, but do not dismiss this game. Expect to see a lot of people pick it up, take a look at it, and there might be some very interesting surprises. If you haven't looked at some of the snow screens from Gamescom, I would take a look at it, Medal of Honor. Google it. Another game I want you to take a look at, Crysis 2. At Gamescom, they've released the multiplayer game mode information, and they've given you 5 multiplayer screenshots. Take a look at it. There's a lot of good stuff coming out on the horizon that may fall under the radar screen. Make sure that you're taking a look at these things. I want to talk to you guys about something that was brought to my attention this week. It was a question that I really didn't have a good answer for, and I thought I would pose it to all of you. Somebody asked me if there's a natural cycle in gaming, that you can be competitive for a while and then your interest kind of dies off, but then you want to get back to gaming and you try to find the next thing. And I started thinking about what I've seen over the past couple of years from different gamers. And I know that obviously, Spikemouth, you come from Halo background. Paradise, you have a rhythm gaming background, specifically in Guitar Hero. Rapture, you've played a lot of different games at a community level, and a lot of games that are not traditional hardcore tournament type games, but clearly Pokemon, Brawl, Cheese, you come from the Brawl and Melee background. All of you in some ways have had a game that you've played, competed, and in many ways excelled at. And, a lot of us forget that when we started, we might have just been better than our friends. And then all of a sudden we realize that we're a lot better than our friends, and we realize that there is actually a sort of national stage for the games we're interested in. My question to all of you is, and if you can be honest with me, do you feel sometimes that your love of a game drops and increases and drops and increases? And do you think that there'll ever be another game to pull you away from your main game? Like, do you ever have dreams that you want to play a different game at a really high level? And if so, what would it be?
Well, for me, the game that I played most competitively was Pokemon. I've been doing it for a while, and I've loved playing competitively. I sort of died down in terms of competitive appearances over the year just because I started playing a lot more games and I got older and stuff. This past year at the Video Game Championships, where I got top 32 at Newark, I haven't played the game competitively since then, which was in June. I just lost interest sort of. I took a little break. And I think Brawl has been pulling me away a lot, actually. I've been playing that competitively mostly this year from the beginning of the year. And it's been like, something to do other than playing Pokemon competitively. And it's sort of taken my attention away from it a lot more than I thought it would. I don't know if I'll be able to play Pokemon competitively as much as I used to. I probably would. But the fact remains that, there are some lulls and there is a cycle where you're going to hit that peak where you're so excited to play a game competitively and you're doing so well. And then you get to another point in time where you want to play another game or you just don't want to play that one anymore. And right now I'm taking a break from competitive Pokemon and I'm playing, trying to learn how to play Brawl at a high level. And I'm sure that I'll get to a point where I may not want to play Brawl as much anymore and I'll get into that lull too. So yeah, I think there is a cycle, but it's probably different for everyone.
I think I can speak for the entire rhythm gaming community by saying there definitely is a cycle. And why I say that is because I've seen so many players that are either Guitar Hero or Rock Band or DJ Hero oriented that plays the game, gets the top scores, and then goes, there's not much else for me to do. And then they kind of drift back until the new title comes out, and then they'll jump right back into the competitive scene. It's really interesting, but it seems to happen with every single title. If you guys have ever been to ScoreHero.com and you know the community, you'll see that around the release of every Guitar Hero title each year, the community suddenly floods back and just invades the forums again with all this new information, figuring out Star Power Paths. There's definitely a yearly cycle, it seems, at least with rhythm gamers. I know me right now, I haven't played Guitar Hero since I got back from Devastation in Phoenix, and that was quite a while ago at this point. I haven't even played Rock Band since I was in Atlantic City. It's just something unless there's a tournament for it, I really haven't got the drive to play it at the moment. My time's been taken up mainly by Starcraft 2, so yeah, I've been looking into the competitive scene in that game as well. Whether or not I'll ever be good enough to play it, that's a different story altogether. But once Warriors of Rock, the new Guitar Hero game, comes out later this year, and Rock Band 3 with a new pro mode, I'll definitely be right back in the swing of things. So, is there a cycle? Yeah, I probably would agree with that.
I think it's more relying on the game, honestly, than anything. With a lot of the Halo pros that have retired or whatever, it came down to what the next game was like. For instance, a lot of players like Fallacy's iOS and all those, and Macchio even, they played Halo 2 and they were so good at that and they enjoyed that so much that once Halo 3 came out, it was so different and, a lot worse than what Halo 2 was that, they just weren't as interested in it, honestly, anymore. With the next game coming out soon, a lot of those players do plan to come back into the swing of things because they've noticed so much of similarities to Halo 2 and it's a lot better than what Halo 3 was. For me, going from playing at MLG events to coaching, I guess it kind of lost my interest in the playing aspect because of coaching, but I do, for Reach, want to get back in the swing of things and try to play again. I think still staying in the competitive scene, watching it or whatever, kind of keeps you still kind of in it, but you're not always as interested. A while back also, a couple of years ago when Call of Duty 4 came out, I wanted to play 2 games competitively. I tried playing Halo 3 competitively at MLG events, but along with that, I teamed up with a couple of players to try to play Call of Duty. It's really hard to balance 2 different things. It takes a lot of time, and honestly, it won't really work out. Like right now, for instance, I've kind of given up on the Halo thing and trying to switch over to Pokemon just to try it out. But you can't do two things at once for competitive gaming. It just doesn't really work out too well, unfortunately.
I definitely see this kind of thing in Smash a lot. I mean, we don't have the cycle like the rhythm games do. We don't go from, a new game every year, a new game even every 2 years. Before Brawl, it was 7 years when Melee came out. So you don't really have a lot of the same players. Players age out of competitive gaming eventually. Usually we have a few of the carryovers, Mewtwo King, Hugs, who quit Brawl but continued to play Melee. But even within the Brawl community, we, there's fluctuations. You see someone disappear for a year, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, my friends are still playing, let me give it a shot, and you get back into it. There's always the players that don't ever quit. But I've taken a few months off where, I'll just stop by at a tournament, maybe not even enter, just hang out with people, because, we're all friends in the community. But yeah, I barely play at not tournaments anymore because I've gotten, to that point where it's just like, I like the competition, but just playing friendlies or whatever does get boring. And I guess that's kind of similar to the rhythm gamers because, you can only play the same song so long. I feel like I can only play the same people so many times when it's not at a competitive high level. So we get people coming in and out of the community, or even just taking long breaks and coming back. I take a few months off every now and then, or I'll take a couple weeks off. Stuff like that. It's very common in Smash, so I'm sure that other games can compare that.
Let me follow up with this. Paradise, if you had a chance to play StarCraft 2 competitively, like when you think about it, is it something you would like to do, regardless of whether you feel you can? And then why would you like to?
Being totally honest, yeah, I'd love to. If I could ever reach that skill level, I would love to. Reason being, it's a totally different experience playing in that different genre than it is in playing in, say, a Guitar Hero or a Rock Band. And the reason I say that is because Guitar Hero and Rock Band are mainly about keeping composure in tournaments and knowing the songs. If you know where to use star power, if you know if you can hit a specific squeeze in the song, there's a bunch of techniques to use in different songs and being good at the different techniques for different songs. But the thing is that it never changes. A lot of Guitar Hero playing competitively is knowing what song to pick against your opponent, knowing what skill set your opponent has. In a different genre like StarCraft, if you're playing this in a competitive way, it's a totally different experience. You have to be scouting your opponent. You have to know build orders.